तो तब से you guys have been in contact. और फिर ये जो अभी recently आप लोगों ने एक वो किया है कि
Yeah,
we
oh, that's
we
true.
yeah, sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was just going to add that yeah, that was the origin story. So of how we met, and we, for the most of our, I think one thing to highlight is for the most of our careers in football, we've always played against each other. We've never actually been on the same team.
और
And then
तीनों
it was
कभी
much
साथ नहीं खेले
बहुत पहले, बहुत शुरुआत के दिन
पिछले
में
ज़माने की
साथ
बात है
खेला था, and then we actually pretty
We all look younger than we actually are.
and then
I'll let the
we
viewers
did
be
have
the
the
judge
pleasure
of
of
that.
working together.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but we did have the chance of playing together, working together, sorry, in our early days in our career. I apologize for the barking.
No, that's fine. Dogs are welcome on this podcast.
But I think we started playing from a long time ago. We met on the football front, but I think what had brought us together was this frustration about what was happening in the football industry. There was something that we wanted more for women. There was just a lot more transparency that we wanted. We wanted a lot more development, a lot better coaching. So all of these things are something that we used to speak about from day one. And I think over time it was just about how do we change it? How do we change it? And we've had brainstormed a bunch of ideas as we've moved forward, until now that we decided that, hey, we need to, maybe put everything together. And one of the ways is to set up our own club or academy. And I think it's going to be a lot more than just a club. So it's not only the excellence bit that we want to focus on. We want to focus on the entire community and build the football industry. And that's it. That's what's connected us, and that's what's kept us together. And it's this vision that we've had. We've obviously shared a bit of a traumatic history, but that's also brought us together. And here we are. I think we're finally glad that we're putting something together.
That's great. That's fantastic. So, is this the first football club in Pakistan founded by women? Am I wrong there? Is this the first of its kind?
No, to be fair, it's not the first of its kind, and there are. I mean, I think it depends on what your definition of club means, and also one thing to note is all of us, like we said, we began at the football club, and it's still a team that is standing and playing today's nationals. I think 13, 14 years on. So to be fair, credit where credit is due, that is women run and women led, more so women led. There's a leader in that system or ecosystem, and so I think, and coming back to the definition club, what does it mean to be a club? To be fair, women's football may most of what we see are teams. So defining what club means is sort of important, and not just for us, of course, but for, to be honest, आगे जाके ये PFF का भी एक sort of something. They will need to think about this, because who will qualify as a club, and then what do clubs get? So kind of on those lines, if you look at it like a business, if you look at it like that, then maybe we can say maybe. I'm not sure, to be honest, but our aim isn't that we're the first, and that, to be honest, the important thing is not that we are the first. To be honest, it would be great if there were more. The point for us is really to kind of push the boundaries on what is best. So to be the best.
Right. So, as far as Delta FC is concerned, आपकी definition में club क्या है? What is a club, and what kind of club does Delta FC want to be or want to become?
Okay, I can go. These guys are just staring at me. So I think, so Khadija, feel free to jump in at this point, but I'm just going to go over some of the for Delta FC. We have a vision and a sort of like a value system that we hope to build on. And it's kind of three things. The first is that a club should be a place where From different ages, you can come, learn, participate, engage, grow. And that means not just on the pitch, it means beyond the pitch as well. So that means that we look at youth in terms of development and grassroots development. It means we look at football excellence, of course. We do want to improve, the level of play, but it also means community, and that's a big one for us at FC, because that's one thing that we've seen. There's always room for improvement when it comes to community. It's been a very, sport is already a very sort of siloed environment here. There's a lot of us versus you, and there's a lot of that, and we're hoping to challenge that a little more. We would like to be more inclusive, of course, inclusive in the sense that it is a women's club by the definition of women's sport, but inclusive meaning if you would like to come and play, we will try our best to accommodate you. Football is for everybody. It's not, for us, in our eyes, it's not just highest level pe athlete or competitive level pe khele. If you are young and just want to engage, fantastic. If you are older and never had a chance to engage, fantastic. We can accommodate that as well. So those are the three sort of big bucket things, but Khadija, please feel free to elaborate.
I don't think I'm going to elaborate, but I'm just going to make it more concise. I think for us, club is more about community, and it's about building that. It's not just having one team. And it's just about, having that development stage, but being more inclusive, having a value system, but also something that you resonate with. So it's just about building an ecosystem within versus just having a team. So we want to go beyond, and I think we want to build that culture where you start feeling, some sort of emotion for everything that the club is doing. So I think that's about it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's great. So you two mentioned that I think you've been. So this is kind of unique in the sense that usually football players, दूसरी countries में, even in the men's game, they don't start off playing. Let me phrase it in a way that makes sense. So इतनी frustration या इतने gap नहीं होते कि players have to take on additional responsibilities such as coaching or such as training while they're playing. But unfortunately, आप लोगों को ये करना पड़ा. But obviously there is a silver lining there. It's allowed you to develop skills or have experiences that are, now translating into this, now that allow you to come to this moment. So what do you think, how has that equipped you well, to come to this point and make Delta FC grow?
I can go first while Kate thinks about it. So I think, to be very honest, just like you said, in those days, in our early days, when we had begun, and this is before Delta FC, to be honest, when we had begun our careers at KU, setting up the women's division, we were multitasking. We were doing a lot of things, from admin to on the pitch to, as a player off the pitch. And looking back, of course, it's, I'm glad, I'm almost glad for the experience, only because you learn what it takes in this context to kind of do not just everything, but you learn the sort of contextual importance. कि भाई यहाँ पे female coaches इतनी कम क्यों हैं? It is difficult. There are lots of things to consider. Why are so many players maybe more comfortable with a female coach? What kind of relationship can you build with with players, and how important is that in nurturing them and building that sort of loyalty to the club? And I think that was one thing, but to be the most important thing for me, I think, is that having to do everything type experience. It shaped my career for sure, and it made me think about a lot, all the other things that can happen in football outside of the pitch. And the other thing that I think it taught me at the time was, and I realized in retrospect as we do Delta FC, is that आपको जो when you're starting a new business or a new endeavor or a new project or whatever, you really have to get your hands dirty. आप ऊपर बैठ के सबको बताने, you cannot just tell everybody ये करना है. You have to do it. And I think that's one of the things that I'm grateful for, because I think it gives you that experience of what it takes to have a startup culture in a sports setting. Usually when you think about startup culture, you think maybe tech or you think of an enterprise, but we'd like to introduce that setting into a sport context as well. And that's one of the biggest takeaways, I think, for me.
Right. And what are the Khadija, what are some of the key challenges जो अभी आप लोगों ने face किए हैं? I mean, firstly, what's the current situation? What's the structure of the club? How far along is it? And what are the challenges that you think are there right now or जो future में you foresee?
I think the challenges are endless. So starting off, it's obviously something that we have not been or cannot take up full time. So I think that's one of the biggest key challenges, where this industry is not developed enough for having women to be in such management roles, and just be able to do that. So everything kind of takes the back seat, but also, you have to do a lot more. So that's one. The other is basically what we're used to in the industry. I think one of the biggest challenges is how we've been running for so long, and we're so used to that we don't know how to break free from it. So there are times where I've really questioned myself about, is it better that we've had a football industry for so long, or would it have been better that we didn't have a football industry and we were starting now? Because then you could at least lay out the foundations. Our foundations are so weak that just to build on it becomes very, very difficult. And the kind of environment, and initially when we started working in this industry, we thought, the biggest challenge would be the mindset that women should be playing football. But then in addition to that, there's that mindset of how the industry is being run, where everyone thinks they're, an enemy to the other club. Competition is good. Competition is what drives you and pushes you forward. But we are so against competition that we try and shut them out. We try and shut each other out, which doesn't make sense, because if you look at holistic view, Pakistan is in the bottom. How do we get up top is if we start challenging each other and we start working together as a team, as a nation. So, I think the key challenges are just this right now, because now that we want to also work towards the mindset change takes a long time. Now we have to work with the mindset that women should be playing, and women are okay in management role, but we're also working with how the industry is already run, and how the clubs or the teams, how they function, or they're having to move forward, but you don't know how to do it.
Yeah. And so ये कुछ problems जो हैं, don't, I mean, it's sort of unfortunate, but it's also true because some of the problems that or challenges that you're facing are bigger than Delta FC, are bigger than just starting Delta FC. They're bigger than something that you can manage on your own, like as talented or as dedicated as you might be. So how do you plan to? So what I'm trying to say is some of these things are long-term changes that may happen independently of you, or you may help them to make them happen, but you can't fix them on your own. So how does that fit into all of this, and basically what's the 5-year plan right now? What are you thinking in the short term, before these challenges can be removed from our society?
Am I starting? Okay, I suppose I'm starting this time. So I think I'm a firm believer of, there are a lot of things that are out of your control, but you do what you can do. So you try and, be persistent and things. I think even when I started working in the football industry, I was quite aware of that I may not see the change in my lifetime. And that is very difficult to digest or to take in, but it's just something that you need to do to be able to just keep at it. And I think it's because I played football and it's because I was in sport that I'm able to keep that persistence, which kind of works in a way that it drives me, because I learned this life skill from football. I want to put that back in, the industry. So it's more to say, okay, we're going to do what we can do, what we think is best, in terms of also being aware of our abilities and our, mental well-being as well, because, it takes a toll. So what can we do, and maybe try different routes, but also having that connection with the youth that's coming up, because for us it's to try and, make it easier for the youth that's coming in, and also it's something that was difficult for us, but that doesn't mean that everyone has to go through it. So how can we best do it, but also not do it in a way that we're not going to, I think sustainability is key for us. So we want to do things that are sustainable. We don't want to just do it one year and not follow up through it. So we're only going to take up things that we are able to do, but we can also maintain them throughout, but also is helping the overall environment. So whatever we can do that may also be beyond Delta, we're not going to be like, okay, we don't want to do it because Delta is there and all of these things that you're asking us to do are somewhere else. It's just for the overall development, because we need to realize that we need to make the pool bigger. How do we make the football pool bigger? And whatever we can do in our capacities, we're going to do that. So I think that's one of the ways. Mashal, if you want to elaborate, the 5-year plan or beyond.
I don't know if I'll get into the full 5-year plan, but I will say, I think you summed it up nicely. But just to touch on a few things is that I think one of the ways to look at that, how to grow the pool and how to make it bigger for everybody. And there's a couple of things there. One, of course, is succession planning. We do not want to be, we've co-founded Delta FC. We don't have to be leading it forever. That's the point, that someone else comes and, these are jobs
that is not dependent on any single person. It's an institution with a set of rules
Absolutely.
and systems that works independently.
Absolutely. And I think that that's one thing that we can do in our space, is create that opportunity for other women, hopefully younger women, who want to take on this role in terms of leadership and management of football and within sport. So that's one thing. And the other thing, to Khadija's point, is that making the pool bigger. Making the pool bigger doesn't necessarily mean making Delta FC bigger. It means making the space for competition bigger. It means maybe more clubs like us. It means if we have a great curriculum that we've seen that works, it means sharing it, because it helps us to do that.
Yeah.
And it helps football. If football grows, we grow. And I think that mindset, I hope, is something that we can instill in the communities that we build, that we don't want to be, it's not us versus everyone else. It's all of us, doing what we can together for everyone in the same space. So that's one thing. And then in terms of, you said, 5-year plan, to be honest, it's a difficult one to map out, because what happens at federation level inevitably sometimes trickles down to club operations. Is that unfortunately we don't know what their plan is, and we don't know if their plan will come into effect. If we can support them, that it will be our mandate as well to not break down PFF sort of efforts, and our aim will be to sort of also help whatever their policies and mandates are, to kind of assist that, because if they grow and if they're stable, it means that all of us working in the same space governed by them, it helps us the level of play. I know this is an obvious thing to say, we want the football to get better. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
That doesn't just mean that we want better players. We have to create those players. We have to find those girls. We have to help them commit to the game. So I think
basically we want anyone who has the talent or has the capacity to have some sort of a pathway कि आप इधर जा सकते हो, आपके पास opportunity है, you can make a difference, and that sort of creates a ripple effect where you, like you mentioned, Delta FC की वजह से और भी कोई clubs खुल सकते हैं. That's increasing the pool. Through that there's more competition. So you touched on something very important कि 5-year plan depends a lot on the federation or macro level पे क्या होता है. So that's one of the last things I wanted to talk to you about because it's a major thing. अभी recently हमने देखा normalization committee है. There's a new chairman. There's Daniel Limones who's doing a great job. Recent women's camp भी हुआ था, which I mean was a resounding success to everyone who was there and to everyone who covered it. तो अब looks like, और अभी जो championship भी चल रही है, it's doing really well. They've got new like production team अच्छी आई हुई है. It's a good solid organized competition. So do you think things are moving in the right direction? And fingers crossed, अगर यही इसी तरह trajectory पे चलता गया, what do you think, where do you think Pakistan, women's football in Pakistan can go in the next 2-3 years?
Khadija, would you like to start or should I start?
I mean, I can be very brief. I don't think I'm gonna say, is it the right thing? I think the fact that we're moving is the biggest step, and I am so glad. The fact that we're moving together as well, the fact that we're trying to, strengthen the institution, the fact that we're trying to restore faith back in football, with the fact that we're trying to do something for players, all of these things. I understand, the normalization committee has a, mandate to get elections done, but the fact they're also focusing on day-to-day activities, trying to get, revive that hope on the ground, is great. I don't know if it's going to be the right thing. It's too soon to say that. It's the fact that, at least we're doing something. At least we're moving. Moving is always good than standing still. So, I think I need to give it a little more time to say where we're going to be in the next 2 years, because it's honestly too soon to say. It also depends on a lot of, how long is the normalization committee going to be extended for, all of those things, the back end. So I'm going to, just hold my breath and, like keep some faith and hope that it keeps moving forward. And then hopefully maybe by the end of the year, I can actually tell you where is women's football going to be for Pakistan.
That's great. So Mashal, just to catch on to what she was saying, it's too soon to say कि हम सही direction में जा रहे हैं or whatever it is, or whether we'll end up in the right spot. But I, like, obviously as a Pakistan football fan, we're so devoid, or there's such a lack of movement or anything that has happened कि अगर normalization committee ने आके अभी फुटबॉल रीस्टार्ट ही किया, सो दैट्स हम कहते हैं बस यही हमारे लिए लाइक अभी की बहुत है, हम खुश हैं, आप यही करते रहें. सो देयर इज़ अ रे ऑफ होप देयर दैट वंस, बिकॉज वी हैव सीन कि फुटबॉल एक्टिविटी स्टार्ट हुई है तो फुटबॉल इकोसिस्टम के अंदर एक्टिविटी काफ़ी ज़्यादा हो गई है, and there's bright hopes there that people think that there's something there to work on. So what are your thoughts on that, and how do you see that developing in terms of Delta FC?
It's a good question, I think, and thanks for asking it. I think just a few things there. To reiterate Khadija's point, yes, it's too soon to say what will happen in terms of PFF and women's football. Can things be done better? Yes, of course. Are we happy that things are still being done? Yes, more so. What I will say is that because of the way that things run in PFF as well, it's hard even as an entity to sort of have to. It's almost as if you're inventing the wheel every time you get a new leadership situation. What I will say about that is that a big thing that I would think that we might be missing out on is sort of industry knowledge. Every time we think that abhi shuru hua hai football, the truth is abhi shuru nahi hua hai. It has been here for a long time, and there are a lot of lessons that can be learned from the expertise that already exists. To find those people is the challenge. To find those people who have sat around for years while nothing was actually happening, but who do know what had happened previously is important, because I think there's two things. The PFF is, of course, they have to govern the topmost level of football. They have to govern the professionalism within the football industry. But to get there, the country itself has to have some sort of grassroots system, because it cannot just be कि ऊपर से उन्होंने एक system.
Top down नहीं हो सकता.
Top down, exactly. And in the context of our culture, top down I mean, when has it ever worked? So I think in the space of Delta, what can we do to help that? We obviously cannot influence the top-down policy at the time. But what we can do is make sure that the foundations, the small grassroots level development that we know is lacking, maybe that's the space we can influence.
So you can be the drivers of bottom-up change, basically.
And hopefully that will, that's something that maybe we can influence in time, and that is a long-term game, because the truth is ऊपर से policies change होती रहेंगी, opportunities change होती रहेंगी. You never know, in terms of, I mean, we had a pandemic this year. Who knows what will happen next. But what we can do is, at the ground level that we work at, is implement it to the best of our efforts, and employ a grassroots approach such that whenever we do have a long-term sustainable, governing body, we'll be ready for those changes, because that's why it feels a little bit like football abhi shuru hua hai. And that's, we don't want that again. We don't want to have to go through that again. That is a disservice to our youth, to the talent, and just, players' ambitions. So we will do our best to try and keep that going, and be ready for whatever opportunities come via the PFF.
So on a last note, just for anyone who's watching and listening, could you spell out some of the details of Delta FC, so anyone who wants to join or anyone who wants to, sort of help or look you guys up, how does one do that?
Okay, Khadija.
Any takers?
Just waits for me.
This was supposed to be the easiest question, but it took you the longest.
Which is why I thought Mashal would, be on top of it.
Sure.
Surely.
Sure. I can. Do you want to go ahead?
I mean, you can always reach out to either of us. We're always approachable for any sort of details that you would like. We're also on Instagram, so you can just look up Delta Football Club. Right now we're starting off slowly, but again, we are very approachable. So feel free to reach out to either Mashal or myself. And this could also be, not only for Delta. I think we've been working in the football front for a while. I've also, studied in sports and, doing my master's in that. So any of those kind of things, I think what we want to try and do is build more of a community. So if anyone has any questions, we're very, very happy, very willing to talk and help out as much as we can.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm going to post the links in the description, and just to sort of let everyone know, Abhi Delta FC, like, what's the situation on the ground? What are you up and running? What's going on there?
Yeah, I can take that one, Kay. So yeah, to add to Kay's point, yes, we are approachable and we're inclusive. So at the moment we have, I believe we have 3 programs up and running. We have for women who are 18 years and older, we have a recreational program. It's once a week pickup football. So if, no commitment, no strings attached, you have time, you want to come play. It's a wonderful group of women.
Fantastic.
To be very honest.
Also, I'm just going to, it's for women who've never even played. So, you just want to come and try it out. Please do so. It's, being on the field is just something different. Come and experience that. And that's all I would want to say. Go on.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I was going to say that. So this is absolutely for any level of play. Even if you are a pro player and your team doesn't play in Karachi and you want to hang out and play a game, that's fine. You can join us. We don't have any rules as to who can and cannot come, apart from age, for safety reasons. So that's one of the programs. The other program that we have is sort of a collaborative endeavor for youth. This is for ages 6 to 12. And we have, this is basically grassroots coaching. This is children only. Khadija and I coach this program ourselves. So we are the coaches here. And this is our first sort of youth development program. And then the third thing that we have is our development squad. And this is probably the most new thing that we have begun. This is for young women and girls, I think 15 and older, great, correct me if I'm wrong, is this is for anyone who wants to learn the game from an athletic point of view. So this is athletic development, and this our hope is that this development squad will sort of feed into our professional team in the future. And news about the professional team is we'll keep you posted. But our aspiration, you asked about a 5-year plan earlier, but aspiration is next year, there's a national championship, and we hope there will be.
Yes.
Things are looking now. Hopefully we will be we'll be prepping for that soon.
Fantastic. So I'm hoping to see you next year, Delta FC. I'm hoping that all of the dreams that you have, all of the vision that you have for women's football and for Delta FC comes true. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to both of you. And it's also great to see something like this happening from the bottom up. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I hope you've enjoyed this. Delta FC, do check it out. All the links are in the description below. If you're in Karachi and you want to play football, and provided obviously you're a woman, you can go and play football with them. This has been Pressing Matters. Thank you so much once again. Take it easy.